Hi everyone, it's the Assyrian priestess with you. I hope this finds you well. I was going to do a shadow work reading today, and I think the question I'm going to ask is what unhealed issues live in our shadow that we need to make peace with, that we need to integrate. I mean, let's use the Jungian term. So the Jungians actually don't talk about healing the shadow, or they talk about integrating the shadow. And whilst I have not studied psychology, my understanding of integration is a level of acceptance. So what the things that go into our shadow, which is a part of our own subconscious that we're not aware of. That's what the shadow means in Jungian terms. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I know there's a few experts in this community, which is amazing to hear your perspective. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, in this reading, I'm going to ask, what have we cast into our subconscious shadow that we need to integrate? Which means we need to bring light to it, and we need to accept it as a part of ourselves. And I guess integration is that highest form of healing in a shadow work context. Okay, so we've got the Six of Wands, the Five of Discs, the King of Discs, and the Ten of Swords. So it looks here to me like the first thing that lies in our shadow is this need for applause, a need for being seen and appraised, a need for being acknowledged for what we've overcome. And this doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. I think it's very healthy and normal to want to be seen and acknowledged and praised for being a leader, for being victorious. In the traditional right away, it's the warrior who's come home from war. And he is applauded, he is thanked. There is a celebration for him and his, fellow soldiers for the work that they've done. So that's a theme here. The second theme here that I see in the shadow is you have a nagging stress about money and security and stability. And again, that is not to judge you or anything like that. It's probably inherited. So if you grew up in a low-income household, low-income community, if you were the child of immigrants, there are many reasons why people grow up with this unease about money, having enough money, saving money, growing wealth, etc. So I think that's a theme here. And the themes that we're exploring in this reading is not just stuff we need to integrate. So don't just get out a pad and pen and write on your to-do list, things in my shadow I need to integrate. And because I know that the high achievers in the audience, that's going to be your inclination of creating a bigger to-do list. Really, this is just for us to reflect on some themes that maybe we haven't yet. So take it easy on yourself. And the next one is the King of Discs, the Assyrian god Ninurta. He's a real hero. His stories are so heroic and beautiful. He really takes care of the land and the community. So there's something in your shadow about being a caretaker, being a leader, being the breadwinner. Like King of Pentacles. And I think really, I am a female, I'm a woman, and I have seen things shift and change so fast in my time here on earth. And it's funny, like when I was growing up, I grew up also between two worlds, between two eras, you know, and we were always questioning the gender roles and talking about land rights and sovereignty and policy, and you know, so all of these things belong to the King of Discs, and I think they are sacred to you. They're important to you. Who is the breadwinner? Who does take care of the land? Who does grow the food? Is it me, you know? But I don't want to admit that. I want someone else to do it. 10 of Swords. I think there's something that's really hurt you in your past, possibly multiple things. So the way that I read the 10 of Swords is like it's the 3 of Swords on steroids, right? Now, we know the 3 of Swords is actually a painful card of wounding, of heartbreak, of loss, of trauma, and like of childhood trauma too. And, you know, lately in the news, we are really confronted with a lot of these themes. And the 10 of Swords is actually your life story of woundings. So this is anytime you were bullied, anytime you were hurt, harassed, anytime you were assaulted, violated. You know, think of, you know, this is a list of things that have happened, culminated over time. This is the 10 of Swords. It is the card of the person who's just cannot bear another arrow. And I think that's really in our psyche right now. It's really in our subconscious, and it wants to be integrated. You know, when we watch the news and we are gripped by the images we see and the terrible stories we hear, I feel like we're gripped, especially so because we can relate perhaps. And that's the 10 of Swords. It's to take really good care of that part of you that has experienced like chronic and cumulative, is that how I say it? Cumulative stress. Then we have the High Priestess and the 3 of Cups. So I see here that you are a really deeply thinking, deeply psychic, deeply connected person. And you do operate between the worlds. You do listen intently to guidance from spirit, guidance from the greatness of the all, guidance from the gods. You're someone who prays. You're someone who looks to the heavens and calls upon celestial beings. This is the High Priestess. She doesn't just operate on earth. She operates between heaven and earth. And here we have the Assyrian goddess Ishtar of Uruk riding atop a lion. We have Inanna's reeds here flanking her on each side. She's wearing the triple horned crown. I mean, you know your stuff. And I feel like your stuff has something to do with community, because the 3 of Cups to me is community, is bringing the community together. Here we have the keyword abundance. These are your friends, these are your colleagues, these are your family. These are the people you go to live music with. These are people maybe you're a member of a community garden or a meetup group or some sort of social group. There's a sense of you that longs for community. And maybe you're not, because this is a shadow reading. So maybe what's in your shadow is this desperate longing for community, to belong to one or to build one. So that's another theme here. And then we have the King of Swords, the 8 of Swords. I feel like the King of Swords is someone who's really hard on themselves, I don't know why I said that, because I don't usually read the King of Swords that way. Then we have the Princess of Discs, the Prince of Wands. I want 2 more cards and then we'll close this reading out. You know, I can see here a person who just strives and strives and strives and doesn't take a break and doesn't know when to break and just keeps going. Maybe you feel like you're trapped a little bit, but there is somewhere you want to go. Like, I see that here. So the bits in our shadow is, I feel like you are very hard on yourself. I feel like the 8 of Swords and the 5 of Swords in this context is affirming that. That's just keeps coming up for me. And yes, you are a hard worker. You are creative. You love to grow things and move things and harvest. And I can see, you know, you in your garden and you in your community, and that's beautiful. But there's an element of like forcing yourself to do more than you can bear. And there's a level of like real self-criticism. Like, why did I make this decision? Why am I dating this person? Why am I in this job? And like, you constantly berate yourself. And you need to integrate that. Because there's a path ahead for you. The 3 of Wands. There's a path ahead for you. And that's funny, like I just heard the other day, the 3 of Wands in the traditional right away. It's, I mean, this architect here, this is the city planner. And Assyria was known for its really grand cities, some of the earliest kind of city-states in antiquity. And he's built this complex, beautiful city, you know, bounded by the fortress walls, but he wants to do more. And he's sort of in his head thinking, oh God, are you going to make me do more? I can't, like I want to rest. But he's called to do more. Spirit calls upon him to do more, because it's like, well, you're so good at it and you've built such a great city, like, come on, go for more. So you've hidden that in your shadow, like you want more from life. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to move home or move to a better job, or, you know, whatever it is. There's a level of passion in your shadow that needs to be integrated as well. Yeah, I can see there's a lot going on for you. You're a complex and wonderful human. I had no doubt you are. Are there any last messages here? We have a few. We have the 4 of Discs, the Queen of Discs. So we have the royal couple in this reading and the Justice card. So you have a real sense of what is right and wrong and advocating for that. And I see that, you know, the security and the empire is part of your shadow as well. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. That you want to build and live in a grand, beautiful home and community. It's something you really want to build. And you want to do things in the right way, whatever that means. Right by custodians, right by the land, right by each other, right by your family. Yeah, and maybe if people have wronged you, that needs to be integrated, because justice in our shadow is all of the times that we've been wronged and we didn't seek justice, right? Or we didn't sign a prenup, or we didn't protect ourselves in some way, financially or otherwise, maybe even with your intellectual property. Maybe you're a musician or an artist. Like the Queen of Discs is not just a gardener and a harvester. she's a creative. Maybe you have a fashion label. Maybe you sing a songwriter. And, this is about protecting your lyrics, protecting your intellectual property. Has that been breached in the past and you've put it into the shadow because it's too hard to deal with? That's another message coming up here too. I think what I strongly feel here is what is in your shadow that is waiting to be integrated. Not should be, it's just longing for you to notice it, is how rich you are and how much you have to offer the world. Your beauty, your skills, your nourishment, when you invite people around table for a meal, or maybe you invite them around to paint together or sew or knit together or make music together. Because I think the discs are also the musicians and the artists of our community as well. Yeah. So let me know if this resonated. I hope it was enjoyable. Love to hear your comments as always. Your likes make me happy. Otherwise, if I don't see you, I will leave you with my love and courage until we meet again. Bye for now.